Time has passed since the last video, and as I'm not going to own some of these lathes anymore in the near future, I decided to make a small video reference for myself and anyone who is interested in these Watchmakers lathe. I put it available for the public. The lathes in questions I'm not gonna own anymore soon are these two here on the right, Lorch Junior, and this left-handed D-type Geneva pattern lathe. This one here, it's running on steel bearings, the spindle being made of steel, but also the cone bearings made of the same material. A very usable type of bearing when in good condition, as well as the other type where the bearings are made of bronze. The collets here are ranging from 0.4 to 4.8. Many of them here in great condition. Step collets here. Some pivoting tools. Graver rests. A carrier chuck for these. Then here we have one vac chuck that has seen a lot of use back in the days. From the headstock one has direct indexing with indexing pin available. And here attached already is a box chuck. And all of these are in a nice old box for lore. And this other lathe, Lorch Junior, looks like this. It's the same lathe I already acquired last year and made an unpacking video, but it's a little bit older one. Serial number itself here 931 available. It's the same in headstock, tailstock, and in the bed, so everything is as it should be. The best possible concentricity is there. And the difference to the other lathe is that this one has also the manufacturing year 1964 plus the serial number 1215. So there is maybe a couple of years difference. The older one maybe from 1960. Approximately no accurate data available for this one. And with these couple of years separated, have some slight differences. They are not really technical ones, but more maybe on a visual side. Here on the draw spindle, this one has some black plastic, and on this newer one there is some clear acryl. The bearing type on both ones is the steel spindle running on bronze bearings, quite visible here on the video. And from a hobbyist I heard some time ago that actually the very early versions of Lorch Junior might have been slightly bigger in size, and the tailstocks especially are not compatible, also the headstocks, with each others. So that's a good thing for me myself to know also in the future if, for example, I want to acquire a lever type tailstock for this better one I have, so I don't purchase the older one, but I purchased the newer one that goes with this lathe. I have never seen these kind of early models, but good to keep in my mind. And this set here I already showed the pieces in this unpacking video, but I never really collected them together that well. So here it is, all the items, like already mentioned in the previous video, in immaculate shape, no rust surface or any more severe here. And I had some pieces that were missing. As an example, this carrier pulley, and this box chuck. All of those are made by Lorch, just to complete the box with original type equipment. And to show some differences what these older and newer Lorch Junior lathes had. Also on the visual side was such black steel in some of the parts. Quite a visual difference, to be honest. It doesn't have any effect on interchangeability of parts. I can use the same parts on both of these lathes without any issues. So there's the lathe Lorch, the one in better shape, and of course the box. Those I'm gonna have in the future, and those I'm not gonna give away in the near future at least. Hard to see that. Why would I find something else when this is already a really great lathe itself? And something from another manufacturer I just happen to have is this Viskum, or that's just that on my best knowledge is Viskum from Denmark, maybe from early 50s or late 40s. The only right-handed D-bed style watchmakers lathe I have, as the rest are pretty much left-handed lathes. By accident, to be honest, back in the days I didn't have the knowledge what's the difference, because they can pretty much be used the same way, except the critical parts, cross slide and the lever operated tailstock, they need to be correct for left and right handed lathes. This pulley system here is probably made by Bolle. It goes well visually with this one. Maybe in the future I'm gonna combine those. This one is something rather unusual for such a small lathe. It's a part of a screw cutting attachment. Like not really that usable, to be honest, even when completed, but quite a cool thing, a rarity to have. Nowadays collectors are looking for those sometimes. And one of the good bigger lathes is this made by Lorch also, and having all kinds of equipment in it. Left-handed lathe that has a lot of its original tooling, some additions there, some rarities, which are also one reason why to keep one of these D-style watchmakers lathe and not only have this Lorch Junior, is the fact that the Lorch Junior doesn't really have a pulley system in itself, where, for example, a grinding attachment or milling attachment could be operated. This Lorch is a good one for pivoting work and such, but for such extra equipment, not the greatest one. One needs to be honest about that. Also the capacity, how large parts you can really turn in a Lorch Junior, it's much more limited. But for example, in this D-bed lathe, you can just put an adapter there and you can swing some longer parts, for example, wall clock hands that might be needing some manipulation sometimes. Quite unusual works, but it's good to know the limitations of the lathe. Also, one thing that the Lorch Junior has already mentioned, I am missing the lever operated tailstock that is here. It's more for the convenience. A cool thing to have available. And also addition for this D-bed lathe is this surface where one can operate this tower style of graver that is originally for the Lorch Junior. One of the real highlights, in my opinion, of these lathes. I really like to use this instead of the classical graver and the support where it's lying. And this one is the double roller filer. The same one is also available for Lorch Junior, but this one goes to the D-bed attachment, and this cannot be attached to the Lorch Junior. The basic tooling, also the faceplate. One of the differences between these smaller boxes that I have and between this bigger one is the fact that this bigger box houses the crosslight and the mentioned faceplate in it. Also maybe some smaller bits and such. And here is such a mixture of all kinds of smaller pieces for the third lathe. For now, I'm going to keep this one maybe as a box where potentially I could be housing these arbors which have all kinds of polishing instruments, grinding stones, buffers, etc. Would be better to store them in a box away from dust and any debris. And also the compatibility of some of these D style parts, they are actually totally fine with the Lorch Junior. As an example, this kind of lever operated tailstock adapter, I can just replace this 7mm arbor with this one, and now I basically have a lever operated tailstock. But one needs to have correct adapters here, which I don't have too many. I can add there some rose cutters as an example to do some form of drilling work, but it's fairly limited what I can do with this one. So yeah, such have been acquired during the past 10 years and a little bit too much, fair to say, especially as bigger machining cannot be made on this kind of tooling, which on the other hand has better capabilities when using such a bigger lathes, like these 10mm Lorch lathes. This one being a new acquisition I purchased together with this older Lorch Junior that is gonna move forward. They were combined together and I just needed to buy both of those together. This one, what is the nice thing is that, as shown in my old video, I already have one bigger 10mm lathe that is pretty much the same type of lathe, screw cutting lathe from the 50s. This older one I have, green in color, is from 1950, and this new acquisition in this gray-blue paint is from 1950. So 2 years difference, but no real technical differences in these ones. The cross lights go together, milling attachments. One can even use this dividing disc that has a lot of divisions available. And even though this one doesn't have a tailstock available, one can actually use the ones that I already have. And when I was checking the concentricity, how is the alignment between tailstock and the headstock, it's actually fairly good. I would say usable, not perfect by any means, as these are not made together, but acceptable, and I believe I find use for this. Maybe I'm gonna turn this to be some form of milling tool more, maybe for cutting wheels and such. Maybe making more division plates if needed for watchmakers lathe, especially in smaller size. And also this one came with a motor and a pulley system. And when I opened this headstock, it was in fairly good shape. No signs of abuse, lack of oiling. So yeah, this one is quite a cool addition, I would say. Works together with the other lathe I have alone. Maybe not the most usable because of the lack of tailstock, but came also with this 3-choice chuck, which I didn't have for the other one. So nice addition. Here is the indexing pin for the dividing plate. I'm going to need to make a new screw here, but that's not an issue with my auto lathe that already has this screw cutting attachment, so I can make the thread there. So yeah, so that is the state of the collection right now. Some of these need to go after many years of thinking, is there too many of them or not? And fair to say that even without those 2 lathes I'm gonna give away, I'll have those other ones for the rest of my life. For one lifetime, totally enough.